you, Senator McKim. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody. I just have some follow-up questions to Senator Henderson. She raised the issue of the safeguard mechanism, the recommendation you made to extend the decline rate there. I'm just wondering, as I'm sure you're aware, the decline rate is currently set at a rate of 4.9%, sort of roughly, as a default. Have you calculated what the decline rate would need to be between 2030 and 2035 to hit at least a 67% reduction?
Senator, the way we went about developing our recommendations in the industry and resources sector involved doing our own, I guess, what we've called ground-up analysis of where we think technologies currently are.
Can I just, sorry, Chair, because just like before, I'm not a voting member of this committee. I'm not sure if you know that, Mr Archer, and I've got to get back to other committees, and I'm trying to be productive and helpful to this committee. I just asked a question. I don't need to know all that other extraneous detail. Have you calculated what the decline rate would need to be between 2030 and 2035 to hit your targets as proposed?
Well, that's not how we went about developing the advice, and so...
So no, just a no would suffice.
No, listen, I appreciate you might have to run back to your other committee. I appreciate it may not be convenient, but the witness gets to answer the questions in the way that they see fit, and if it requires additional detail, he's entitled to do it. You don't get to boss him around about how he answers the question. That's not the way this works.
Okay, I'm happy to hear from Mr.
Canavan. Let me just take back the call. Sorry, Mr. Keane. Look, I think yes, Senator Henderson, you've raised a point of order.
Just on the point of order, Chair. Senator Canavan is entitled to ask the witness to be directly relevant to his question. That is within the standing orders. That is within the standing orders.
It is. I understand the point of order. I understand the point of order as it's been taken. I also understand Senator Canavan's question. I think that the witness was being relevant in response to it, and it's appropriate that the witness provide an answer that they feel is contextually and substantively right. I don't think the witness had gone on for too long at that point, so I think the witness has an opportunity to answer the question, and then I'll come back to you, Senator Canavan.
Thank you.
I might just check in with Matt, the chair, because I think, Matt, were you trying to come in there?
Senator Canavan, the only thing I'd say is we didn't model to get to a specific number. We took an assumption that we would just extend the existing decline rate on the existing cohort of businesses, the safeguard mechanism currently applied.
So your recommendation is the 4.9% continue to 2035?
Correct. Well, the assumption that we made is that 4.9% continue to 2035. But again, it's up to the government whether they accept that or not.
Right. But on my calculations, and I don't know, I thought you'd probably do this yourself, but it's not that hard, but to go from the 43% to the 67%, at least the 67%, if the safeguard mechanism facilities were to make their proportionate reduction based on that 67% cut, we'd need to increase the decline rate on a compound annual growth calculation to 7.8% reduction a year. Have you calculated that?
We didn't do it that way, Senator. We just assumed the existing 4.9% continues to 2035, and then we looked for the emissions reductions in other parts of the economy, Senator.
I'm just wondering, how do you provide this advice? Even if it wasn't your recommendation, you have said that as an economy-wide, we should go from 43% to 67% in just 5 years. It's a fair jump. I think you admit in your report it's quite challenging. But yet you don't actually even calculate for a smelter, a refinery, a mine, what that proportionate to what that annual reduction would need to be. Are you telling me you haven't actually even calculated that figure?
No, that's not what I'm telling you.
What is the figure?
Telling you is that we projected that the existing safeguard settings remain in place to 2035.
But if let's say the government did, I mean, it makes sense. I believe the 4.9% figure is roughly to get to net zero. The problem here, and one of the issues I've got with the advice you've given, is that you're trying to go faster earlier, which seems a little strange to me. Your recommendation, if adopted, to get the facilities down, the safeguard facilities down to a 67% reduction, would require nearly 8% annual reduction for these firms who are already struggling to achieve the 4.9, clearly. It's just a basic calculation. Sorry, Senator. I can tell you the CAGR formula if you like. It's just in the spreadsheet. It's just 1 year over another to the power of 1 divided by a year minus 1. That's it.
Senator, the assumption that we made in our ground-up analysis is that the existing safeguard settings stay in place to 2035 and that other parts of the economy, primarily energy and electricity, would do more of the heavy lifting.
So in your advice and modelling then, do you work out, OK, we need to get this much abatement? And my understanding, the way we do the NDCs, it's a budget, so it's not just hitting a 67% target by 2035, it's actually the area under the curve. Have you actually worked out which parts of the economy, which parts of the sectors, as per how we divide our emissions under the Paris Agreement, would make the contribution to get to the 67%?
What we did was a ground-up analysis looking at all sections of the Australian economy, looking at all the technologies that were available at the different price points, and then took assumptions as to which ones were viable, that could be rolled out at scale, which ones there would be a green premium required to roll out at scale, and which ones we didn't think were feasible, and that was the basis on which the 62 to 70% was arrived at. I
might just slightly move on, but still within the safeguard mechanism situation. I met with a cement manufacturer the other day, and they are getting undercut like no tomorrow from Indonesian cement products, to the extent that they're considering having to close cement production facilities here in this country. Did you, when you prefer, and a big part of what they said to me was the safeguard mechanism, that's the big problem, relative to Indonesia, who do not face a carbon tax. Did you meet with the cement industry or other related industries that are currently suffering under the safeguard mechanism before recommending the extension of the decline rate?
I might just throw that to the CEO, but we did meet with over 500 businesses and had submissions from industry associations.
Right. Specifically, did you meet with the cement? Did anyone meet with the cement industry, Mr. Arch?
Senator, I'd have to take that on notice. As the Chair has said, we had a lot of meetings and received a lot of submissions. We were certainly had meetings with a range of industry groups at which the Cement Industry Federation was represented, but I would have to check our records as to whether we specifically met with the industry through the course of the review.
Did you consider at all the issue of carbon tariffs?
Senator, I mean, we did note that the government was exploring a carbon border adjustment mechanism, which we think is an important part of the policy toolkit when one is working out how best to facilitate the transition of industry to lower emissions, because there are very real international competitiveness issues that need to be addressed. Of course, there's already some elements of that built into the safeguard mechanism through the adjustments for the baseline adjusted facilities which are trade exposed. So we have considered that, and we think that that's an important part of the policy
help me.
toolkit.
So you think it should be considered? Just try and help me out here. So the contention that Mr. Keane put earlier, and I've heard often from many people, is that pursuing net zero will actually lower our energy prices. There's all this technology and it's going to be clean and green and also more efficient. If that were the case, why would we need to put on a carbon tariff to protect our own industry? Wouldn't we be more efficient than those countries that do not have net zero policies or plans in place sufficient for us to apply the carbon tariff?
Well, Senator, it's not simply a case of deploying renewable energy, but there is plant and equipment upgrades that are needed. We're often talking about very large pieces of kit and talking about...
So it's not cheaper? So it's not cheaper then? Well, you've got to invest all this money. So I'm just...
No, so what I'm trying to convey is that it's a far more nuanced picture than what you're
Well, it's not. You weren't nuanced before. Before Mr. Keane was saying that this is all rosy. Well, it's all rosy. If you've got a point of order, make one, Senator Raja. But you said before it would be cheaper for us. There's going to be an economic opportunity for us as a country. I just don't seem to get, though, that if it is cheaper for Australian businesses to pursue net zero, to lower emissions, to have these safeguard mechanisms, carbon taxes apply to them, why would we then need to impose a tariff on our border for countries that are not doing it, 2 countries that are not doing that?
So, Senator, what I was trying to explain was that there are transitional issues that we are working through in the economy as part of this transition to net zero emissions, and the authority has certainly not said that it was going to be easy. Or that the journey will be the same for all industries across the
So
economy.
in the transitions it's more expensive. I'm just trying to work out here. In the transition it's more expensive.
Sorry.
I thought he was finished, but you're trying to help him out because he's clearly struggling.
Okay.
But fair enough.
Senator Anandaraja, please. I think it's Senator.
Well, you're kind of doing the same thing you're accusing me of right now.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So we are getting to that stage of the evening, it seems. But look, I think what was happening there was, and I say this respectfully, Senator Canavan, you should give the official. I don't think he quite was. So I think he needs a chance to respond to your question, and then we can go back to you. Well, actually, I will need to move the call on after that. So
can I have one more?
You may have one more. Mr. Archer or Mr. Keane, did you want to finish that response?
No, only then to add that you're not quite reflecting the advice. We clearly say that some sectors of the economy can go further and faster based on the technologies available to it. Some sectors, the technologies aren't available, so we discounted the contribution that they could make. So cement is one of those areas, Senator.
Okay. I just want to finish this line with this situation in Indonesia, which I am very, very concerned about, but no one seems to be. Did you look at the relative costs of production in our competing countries like Indonesia? According to the IEA, Indonesia now has an electricity price for industry that's less than a third that Australian industries face. Indonesia has already effectively stolen our nickel industry through the pursuit of a green premium, which failed on the behalf of BHP. And now the new president of Indonesia is explicitly targeting copper and aluminium. So have you looked at this competitive threat here? Because Indonesia in 12 years has doubled its coal production. Doubled. It's building coal-fired power stations like they're going out of fashion, financed by China. Have you at all looked at this threat to our industry, our competitiveness, from one of our closest neighbours, who is barely even paying lip service to net zero and stealing all of our jobs?
Well, Senator, I think... sorry, Chair.
You have it out, then I can swing in.
Sure. I mean, I was just going to make the observation that, clearly electricity prices, energy prices, a very significant element of the competitiveness of our economy and the industries within our economy. I think we've heard a lot of discussion today about, the way forward to ensure that we have the lowest possible energy prices in Australia, while also addressing the imperative to reduce emissions. And at the same time, we're dealing with an ageing coal-fired power station fleet. Certainly today and in previous hearings, we have gone over this ground a number of times that all the evidence is that renewables firmed with other technologies provide the lowest cost pathways forward.
Can you explain why Indonesia has a third of electricity prices than ourselves when it has expanded its coal production by so much? If it was not investing in the cheapest form of power, why is it able to deliver electricity to its factories at a rate? Oh, whoa. Okay.
Senator Anandaraja.
Okay, all right.
Senator
I don't know if that's relevant, but anyway, if I could just start again after that rude interruption. So, as I was saying, I'm just seeking an explanation here. If renewable energy is the cheapest form of power, how is it that Indonesia, who are investing so much in coal, the extent of their expansion in that 12-year period is the size of the Australian coal industry? They've expanded coal mining by 450 million tonnes in 12 years, doubling, as I say. How how is it that they now have industrial electricity prices, according to the International Energy Agency, at a rate less than a third of Australia's?
Senator, I haven't done any analysis of Indonesian electricity prices, so I'm not in a position to answer your question.
That's a bit of a problem. I mean, if we're going to make advice on climate change targets, you'd think you'd look at what our competing countries are doing, who are competing for our jobs and our industry. But no, not done.
Indonesia's not the only economy where there are...
I've got other examples if you like.
where there are lower labour costs, where there are subsidies behind the border.
That's what we need
right?
to do, energy costs.
I know lower labour costs are fine with you, but not with me.
No, they're not. No, you're going to get lower labour costs.
Senator Canavan, just as
we had cheap energy.
Senator Canavan, Minister,
I don't
just
want
for
to
one
trigger your
moment.
weird identity politics with an assertion of what the facts are.
Senator Canavan, please don't interrupt the Minister. Minister, you have the call.
Yeah, I mean, the cheapest, it's interesting, doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to hear the evidence on these positions, just wants to go back to get on the keyboard and, you know, engage with the silly billies, basically.
All right.
There's no point engaging with it, so we won't.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hodgins, mate.
Thank you, Chair.